Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my podcast, Girl with the Camera. And it's my pleasure to welcome Rhys Hamlyn, an actor. He's known for his work on Predestination, Neighbors, Oz Linked, but also a short film called Unspoken that I want to talk about in this episode a lot. Okay, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's good to be here.
Let's just start with telling me, so basically the Unspoken short film is about depression, to give some context to my viewers and listeners. So can you just firstly tell me, how did you get involved in this project?
I remember it quite vividly when I arrived to the audition. You always rock up and you bring a lot of energy, you do all your prep, and I knew that the material was pretty dark, so I thought I would, bring that sort of lighten the mood a little bit. And I got the audition and they said, here's basically the backstory of what you're auditioning for. And I don't know if you're aware, but the story is very close to the people that created the story. It was based off real life experience by the director and the producers. So they basically handed me this 1-page story to read, which was basically the real life events, which sort of inspired the whole film. And that really hit me like a ton of bricks. It was just reading how someone's life had kind of ended, basically, sort of the story and the unfolding, I guess. And that really struck a nerve with me. It really, really hit me hard. And I just told them that I needed, a few more moments, and then I auditioned for the piece. But I knew I immediately had that connection with it. It was something that definitely spoke to me sort of deep within. And it was also, such a fragile thing and an honor to be able to be involved with something that was so close to so many people that I was working with. So that's how it sort of all came about.
That's kind of a pressure because you want to make it justice. That how much it means to those people. So can you tell me, how did you prepare for this role?
Well, I know that we wanted to make it the name of the film's Unspoken. So it was all very subtly indicated and quite naturalistic in its style. So I didn't want to bring anything that wasn't genuine to it. I wanted it to be quite restrained, and the director Zoe was really great with giving me heaps of flexibility with the role and just sort of let me kind of run with it how I sort of felt, fit. But there was definitely we did need to keep checking in with one another because it is such a dark subject matter, and there were times where people were sort of getting triggered and getting quite upset about it, just because I guess it was, pretty close to home. So I think just checking in with one another and sort of keeping that ensemble and keeping everyone looking after each other, I guess, throughout the whole shoot of it. But yeah, I mean, I did feel that pressure definitely initially, but then I think it's sort of, I guess with any piece that you take on, you have to inject your life into it and your experience, and then it becomes a slice of you and the character, So I guess it did take a bit of its own take on its own life. And it also, we did steer a little bit away from the real life events that it was based on, which gave it a bit more of a brighter ending, which was nice. Yeah.
So, as we know, there's not much dialogue. So it's really about the visual thing and how to express your emotions and what you're feeling without saying it, because this is basically the actual depression in real life. People they don't say it usually oh, I'm depressed, I'm feeling horrible, I want to I don't want to be here. So how different it was from your previous roles, where there's a dialogue and now you just have to kind of like express it.
So different, and also a little bit frustrating as an actor sometimes, because you're like, just let me talk, let me, because you want to sort of give everything you've got. But it's a really interesting experiment, just like internalizing it all. And I think that really gave it its kind of power, not having the dialogue, like really restricting the dialogue. And basically it's almost like you're like viewing this seemingly normal life of a young man interacting with family, going to a party, just going about normal life, like looks like everything's fine on the surface, yet there is this undercurrent that keeps pulling him back into his shadows. And for him, he just can't see how he can get out of that, and doesn't think to maybe reach out to people that sort of, that masculine thing, like I'll deal with it, I'll take it on, this is my thing. And no one wants to hear about me whinging or me complaining, or, you don't want to be letting, dropping the mood with talking about how bad you feel, if you to be honest with the people around you. And I think now that conversation's becoming a lot more open, but it's taken a long time to get there. And it's still not always easy for people to come forward and talk about their feelings. And yeah, that's just sort of like this thing that you can get trapped in. And it's a solo, lonely kind of journey.
Yeah. And I really like about this film that it doesn't necessarily have has a drama, you're not triggered by an event. It's just like how this character feels like from the morning till the evening. Like there's not necessarily like a specific reason like this. And it's not, just a drama, like you crying or whatever, but we still can see that you're so depressed. So this is really something that stands out, because I was searching for a lot of short films on depression, and I watched this and I'm like, okay, this is exactly how it should be.
Yeah, because it is so stripped back and seemingly normal. Like it's just a slice of someone's life, in a lot of ways.
So you also kind of mentioned how the filming went, that sometimes it was difficult, but was there like moments that you had fun, or was it really?
Definitely. None. Yeah, it would have been pretty grim if we didn't. No, we definitely, that like the director and the producer definitely made a conscious effort to lighten. Like it was like, let's all eat lollies now, or, like, let's just do something fun or bring a bit of the joy back into it. Because, it would be quite easy to get stuck in that, And I think any role that you do take on, you do take a little bit of it home with you as well. Like I definitely was, I guess processing a bit of stuff myself, which was just kind of remnants of shooting all day.
Yeah. So how long the production of this took, like the filming part?
I think, I think it was maybe 4 days, but it was sort of broken up over a few days. I think we did a couple of days, and then a couple of weeks later we did a few more pickups and a few things. So yeah. And don't quote me on that, but I think it was about 4 days.
And when it was finished, was it easy for you to detach from the character and kind of like, be normal, not think about it anymore, or you had it in your mind still because it was a strong story?
Yeah, I guess it is one of those things that, it took a few days to shake off that role. But then when I did watch it again, when it came together as a full piece, I was, a little bit triggered in, like, it's like a side of myself that I don't want to sort of, maybe I was judging it a little bit, like that's the kind of sad, depressed Rhys that I'm watching, and yeah, so I guess in some ways it was a little bit unsettling to watch it. Yeah.
Mhm. And yeah, that leads me to a question. Do you like watching your performance and analyzing it, like in any kind of film? Or you're one of those actors, it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people that just think it always could be better. I could have always done this. Like I can't ever just let it be and just say that's that and it is what it is. Like I have quite a critical eye, so I do find that hard. Yeah, yeah, which does make it really hard with self-taping for auditions when you've got to go through all these takes, and I'm like, I'm not happy with any of them. So it's sort of, a long process, drawn out process. But I think you got to give that away at some point and just, let it be. It is what it is. And there's always going to be next time. And yeah, just give it your best in the moment.
Do you remember a certain scene from Unspoken that was maybe the most difficult to film, or it took the most time, or something like that, or any kind of like specific moment?
There was some scenes. The party scenes was actually one of those freezing cold Melbourne days, and we were trying to coordinate people, and some people arrived late. And we're waiting on extras, and I remember just sitting there freezing for so long. Like it was one of those, just kept going on and on and on. And when you get cold to the bone and you just, your body just can't warm itself up. So that was tough, but that was just me being a sook. But the final scene when he's in the garage and when he's sort of contemplating making that final move, that was quite a somber shoot. Yeah, because we sort of had to stumble through how we were going to visually portray that without it being too visually accurate or, too exact. So we kind of wanted to indicate it rather than explicitly show it. So, but I think, that was, I guess, the climax of his darkness, like that's when he was at his lowest point.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you didn't like explicitly showed it. Like, I think that's not the point. But of course, audience know what's happening.
Because I think for a lot of people, from my sort of understanding of mental illness, is, there's times where you're not feeling anything. It's not feeling sad and feeling emotional. It's empty and lost and without direction,
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was sort of where I sort of took this role. Like he'd almost kind of gone to the end of the path and he's probably expressed all these sad emotions over however long of the period. And then now it's just that he's almost like an empty vessel. He sees himself as an empty vessel and doesn't see that he can move through this to then get out the other side.
That's one of the things, like just not feeling anything, like not be able to feel anything anymore. And that is much more frustrating than feeling sad or happy, because you know that you're going to get out of this. But yeah,
exactly.
So as an actor, basically when you audition and when you start out, you get a lot of no's. It's like, no. And it's very difficult, I would say. So in terms of like mental health, in terms of acting, like what do you do to take care of your mental health if you're like starting actor and you're getting all those rejections?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me, it's about knowing what's serving me. Like there's no point putting yourself up if you're already going into it feeling a little bit rejected, because I feel like you can end up being a little bit wounded from a lot of these, rejections that you're getting from various auditions. You try not to take that on, but everyone does feel it. No one wants to be rejected. So I think for me, it's about recognizing those times that maybe I need to just step back and maybe say no to an audition or two and come back to it when I feel ready and I feel that I'm excited about it again, you know? So I think it's important to recognize when you are getting tired and then you need a refresh and then come at it at a new fresh angle with fresh energy, because I honestly believe that's what gets the role. You know, like you need to bring that extra something that is within you. It's within all of us. And it's that energy, you know, it's that screen presence, the energy you bring to the room. And I think, especially, you know, when you're auditioning for commercials a lot, which at the best of times aren't always that satisfying to audition for, you know, it's nice to get them. But they can be pretty, like just uninspiring and, you know, they're pretty like repetitive basically. So I would say just, refreshing, come at it from a fresh angle when you're feeling like you're getting a bit burnt out.
Great. That's great. And from the point of like some of my, actually most of my viewers and listeners are directors. So can you tell me from the actor's point of view, like what kind of directors you like working with? Like, you know, giving a lot of freedom on set, or you need to be shouted at? Oh, of course not.
Yeah. I think for me, the best experiences I've had with directors that I've liked working with is directors that can talk to you from a way that they can ask something of you to get a result that you can understand. So you're talking more in terms of real life kind of feelings or experiences, or like they'll ask you a question like, you know, how would that make you feel if she was to actually leave right now in this moment, when in the scene maybe she doesn't, but just something like that, some little adjustment that can just make the tiniest little shift in your mind. And then I think that can then come out and create a whole new take or a new direction for that scene. But I think the directors that come in really hot and heavy and really super keen and like, you know, trying to really like say what they think from their opinion and how that from their side of it, which I think is totally valid. But as an actor, you're already vulnerable up there. So you need to almost keep with that kind of energy that the actor's working with and adapt to that energy. Like maybe if it is a really big scene and they're really, you know, like it's a fight scene or they're really revved up and angry, then the director can come in with that energy to kind of embellish that and breathe some more, you know, energy into it. But yeah, I think it's reading the actor and making small adjustments. Yeah.
Good.
But I know it's tricky because it's, there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions and it's constantly a juggling act.
And do you like to improvise when you're filming?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially before the take. But before the first line, like a little warm up into it, for me, that works really well for me. Yeah. So you're coming from somewhere strong leading into the scene.
Sometimes there are actors who really take the screenplay and they know like how much time was put into creating like every syllable, you know, so they are kind of thinking that they don't want to change it because it's disrespectful, but at the same time creating something amazing like on a set, because the mood and the vibe is very different, and you know you should maybe go beyond and maybe just have one take where you do improvise and then see. So I think you're the second version maybe of that. Like I think the like authenticity is always going to be more watchable than a performance that's by the book, you know, and line perfect. And you hear varying opinions about that, but I think like a good thing is to always go in strong and bring what you want to bring to the piece. But for me, I find that really hard because that's quite a ballsy kind of brave
move to do, and you almost want to warm up to that. But I think that can really give a memorable performance when you do kind of come at it quite punchy and bring something that you've sort of internalized. But yeah, I think, because for me, I'm someone that does overthink things, and I do get a bit caught up in being like making word perfect, but it can then become about getting the words right rather than getting the story right and the intention of the character and what do they want in the scene, what do they want from the person, what's the world they're living in, and how they're going about getting it. So I think that's the most important thing. And if you haven't got that, then the script doesn't really matter anyway. You know what I mean? So yeah, but it is a tricky one. You do hear two sides of it, you know, like some directors are quite happy for you to improvise and just throw it out there and see where it goes. Whereas others, you know, on soap operas and TV series, they definitely want you to be a little bit more by the book. They just sort of need to tick the boxes and move on to the next scene. So I think it depends on the environment and what the show is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's wrap this up with, tell me, like, what is going on in your life right now? Or maybe
what's
also
going on in my life?
Projects.
Yeah, so we've had a very long and arduous lockdown. So pretty excited about trying to getting some normal life, normality back, some freedoms, which is very exciting. So me personally, I've taken a step back from auditioning just because self-taping at home sort of like the industry had to adapt and change. And for me, I sort of got to a point where the self-taping just wasn't satisfying. Like you need to be enjoying the process, because if you're not enjoying the process, then it's not fueling you and carrying you to the next stage of your journey. It's kind of having the opposite effect. So for me, I've stepped away and focused on some other passions in my life, and I'm sort of regrouping. And then I'm sure I'm going to come back to this, and hopefully with a new perspective and some fresh energy, and yeah, see what happens.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. It was great.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, it's really good. It's fun to have a chat.
And I wish you good luck. Yeah, and enjoy the freedom.
You too. Yeah, and keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great stuff. It's very inspiring.
You too. Thank you. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.